Hello, good morning all. Can you hear me? People are,
Good morning.
yeah, thank you, thank you. So you can hear me. Okay, today we will talk about the Cisco ISE, that is Identity Services Engine. Last week I was talking about the SIEM, that is Security Information and Event, what is that, Event Management something. So that is about the SOC engineers which will be working on. That is about that security operating center people. They'll be picking up the case and they'll be interacting with the customers. They find out what went wrong, or maybe the customer may be calling something is happening in their network, like they feel like something is unstable or something. So they will log into their network and find out that what's actually happening on that. Most of the time, we will be doing only the RCA finding, like means the root cause analysis. Means what went wrong, some of the things has been gone, something has been compromised, some of the assets has been found missing, or some of the unnecessary things has been come up and dumped on our own network or something. We find some unnecessary files are there in our file servers and through some other databases or something like that, and they feel like something has been happened on this because some of the logs which has been produced by that firewalls and the load balancers and the network servers, which are creating some issues like that. Or suddenly some of the 15 to 20 minutes the logs were not at all produced. It has been stopped. It was not able to understand that what went wrong or something. So like that, there will be many cases accordingly they will be creating that. So people will be working on that to find out that what went wrong, and they will be interacting with the customers to find out that. That is SIEM, where I was talking about. So you can take this, the presentations. ISE is just nothing but like an extension of the SIEM. ISE is an integral part of any network, any bigger network, I can say that, because at least we should be having some 10 to 15 customers or something. And when the customers are coming up like that, they would like to have their own complete entire global network need to be monitored, find out, and everything, every other security, the equipments, whichever it has been introduced to that network, need to be monitored and to find out that. And their clients like a third party clients to the clients as well. We need to monitor that because like a companies like Accenture and Capgemini will be doing a lot of network integrations for the third party as well. So what they do, they will be having a connectivity to the Capgemini network, and they will ask us to, like monitor and find out that of the third party network as well. So we need to make sure that Capgemini network is safe as well as the third party client network is being safe. So like this is like a broader area which is goes upon. So when it has been increasing the network capacity, when it has been increased the network users as well as the devices whenever it is getting introduced to the network, like say devices in the sense earlier in 5 to 6 years back, we were using only the network servers and the routers and switches, firewalls and load balancers, and the individual PCs, which are the desktops mostly. Or earlier, it was like a laptops which has come up on this. So the only this much as we were, try to manage it. The networks were quite easily to manage that because once you see that the network, how does it been behaving, then having the benchmark values in your hand, keeping in some other server or something like that, you just go and compare it out everything. What is the performance which is happening on that? What are the known errors are happening? Known error database which we will be having it. So the known errors will be known for at least for a year or something like that. We'll just find out that with that we will be able to solve the problem so easily. It doesn't mean it doesn't take much time to find out what went wrong in a network or something. So it's very easy for us to with that KEDB, so the known error database, which we go and finalize the things which what went wrong. Something we can give the RCS quite easily for that. So people will be having a templates like that. I myself is having some kind of a template, and I will be writing that by just changing the names only because errors are repeating. Errors are repeating because even when we are giving the proper guidance to the people like that, please replace this particular box, or please replace, go for the next version of the upgradation of the OS or something in that firewall or any security device or something. People doesn't go for it so easily. They will not get the approval from the top management because it may be breaking many rather than it is fixing many. That is what the problem is. So though they will have some, like lukewarm response for to upgradation or something, so the problem will be keep on occurring. So we have the workaround solutions with us. We will be always giving that copy pasting to the ticket, and we'll just finish off all these things. So that's That is quite easier. Like when you work in a stock, you'll be understanding that. But that is not going to be the same case when there is a new customers are getting added to your network, and more monitoring and troubleshooting need to be done for a newer network, newer devices, because so many devices are coming up in the market now. So it is not only like when you talk about the firewall, it was only the ASA was there. Now the FTD has been there. Juniper firewalls, Palo Alto firewalls, Checkpoint firewalls. Only name a few like that, we can just have it. But later nowadays, if you just see that without naming, without even knowing that the name in the internet also, you cannot find out that that kind of a names of the firewalls is coming up in the market. People are buying it and they're integrating it to that, and they ask us to do the monitoring and the troubleshooting and other things. It's becoming a big challenge for us. Like so now, day to day, the operations are getting very much demanding, and as well as like it takes a lot of time from us to be dedicating ourselves to the finding out what is going on in the network or something. So it's very harder for the network security people who are working on that. So that is the position that this identity services engine has been deployed in that way. Identity services engine in the sense like there are many kind of like this platform has been available from many other companies as well. That is a problem. Dell EMC Square has got a solution, and Juniper has got a solution. Cisco has got these solutions. Palo Alto has come with the Panorama and other things. So many other solutions are like this is like more of centralized security solutions which are given for the companies, and it will be like when it is coming up like a centralized solution in the sense, so many devices will be monitored and find out the problem what is happening on this. So many network integrations which already is happening that need to be coming into that vicinity of this ISC. And we will be talking about that ISC is ICE. The people will say ICE like that. Cisco ICE. ICE means Identity Services Engine. This is going to identify the who all connected. Even the mobile phones are also now the biggest challenges to the network security, because many other companies are offering the mobile phones to the peoples. Like otherwise they will ask us to they will ready to pay the billing amount for that people who are using the mobile phone for official purpose only, like that. So it is very easy for the like corporate to monitor that what actually happening with the mobile phone or something. As soon as once you pull those devices to the ISC or any other network security solution or something, you will be always being monitored. What is actually happening? What chats you are doing that? What kind of a VPN connectivity you are having? What files you are downloading and uploading? What are the applications you are touching for that? And all the logs are getting produced in each and every day. So this is becoming a highest challenge again. So the population is more than that. Cell population means the mobile population is more than the world population, like that. Something is coming up like the number of mobiles I'm talking about. So this is like each and every other device which is getting integrated to the network. That is a real posing a real challenge for the security solutions for us. So when it is coming into the security solution in the sense, all the loopholes need to be identified. First of all, we just need to properly going for an upgradation of that versions or something. At least the patches need to get installed. Either it is an Android phone, iPhone, or any kind of a Chinese phone. People are using a lot of Redmi and other things. That is giving a more problems for us. Like, and when it is coming to the firewalls in the sense, the patches need to be installed. Palo Alto is giving a proper mails for us. Checkpoint will be giving the weekly mails like that. Weekly newsletter, something will come up. Microsoft will be coming up, keep on up on like, because Microsoft is the one is getting very much attacked platform in the market. So they have like a lot of patches need to be done on the server side. Their application SQL servers and other SharePoint and other things, they will be keep on sending emails to us. So Red Hat Linux is also giving that all the third-party applications, like database applications, everyone is giving the proper mails to us. Like what is the action need to be taken by the SOC guy? Like you just need to go through all these things. The mails need to be read, because in a day the 300, 400 mails are coming. How many we'll read? Okay, there is a part of our job. So we just need to read the mails and finding out what all the patches are very much required for us, which is an emergency, which is critical, which is a okay, like it can go for a next month also. Like, so we need to find out that all the informations on the particular mail which has been given to us, and it should take it properly to that department heads or something. We need to inform them. We need to go for an upgradation or something. We have to go for a kind of a maintenance window or something. Maintenance window is a very big, like a threat for the company. Yes, it is. And it goes on a maintenance window means like people will start fearing like what these guys are going to do there. What all things will get changed for that? After that maintenance window, what will happen? How they are going to solve it out? Like, so they, every time the managers will be keep on postponing that maintenance window. Let us do it next week. Let us do it next week. Because there is some activities there this week. Like, so they will keep on saying something like that, because that is actually creating a more security problems to our own network. So there is like normal day-to-day life in a security engineers, job or something. So, but we just need to understand what all the security solutions are available in the market as the centralized point of view, and how they will interact with the machines and firewalls and the mobile phones and the laptops and desktops and servers and other things, and which is the best one, which will be going for, like, how much is going to be the monitoring cost is been there. It's like a planning things. We just need to do that. What are the hardware and software requirements for that? How much we just need to pay for this one to get it getting installed in our things? How many people need to be trained for this to work on this platform? That is more important, because so many options, so many solutions, so many menus and items, like fine tuning things need to be happen on this. And these people need to come with the certified in the sense, like, what they need to have a proper knowledge about that. It's not only the certification is quite easier nowadays. There are so many other ways of that to clear your certifications. People are faking the certification like anything. So certification doesn't make any sense, but still knowledge and like the experience is required for a particular platform. So that is more important. So when the person is saying that I know about ICE, means this may be knowing only 5% or 6% of the ICE. The people are still working on the ICE. you know. So Delhi MC Square has got a solution like Radvision, something is, and Panorama, something like many other platforms that are similar to this ISC. The Cisco has got this solution like an ISC, because they were using only the Pixel earlier. Then ASA was there. Then now the FTD and FMC has come up and centralized the security solution in the sense they created the ICE. ICE is like identity services engine. It's going to identify whoever is connecting to that network as a network point of view or a security point of view, and it'll be creating that integrating with the AD server, LDAP or AD, lightweight directory access protocol server, else Active Directory server, Windows actually. But Cisco promotes mostly of AD integration with the DICE, because it's very easy for domain users to get identified by this ICE, so that they can work on every other platform which is available in the in-house operations, like a corporate service. They can able to log into that single sign-on, something it can be activated on this. So ICE is like a very big, huge platform. Don't think that so is easier. Even the person is working on ICE for last 2 years, 3 years, and like there are so many dark areas are still there in their mind. They did not even understood that what is actually happening on that areas like. So it's not easy to understand the entire thing, because so many devices are getting integrated to that now and then. Every day, maybe like around 10 to 15 devices will be integrated. And so many people has been added to the network. Everyone has to put into the vicinity of this ICE. The ICE need to monitor everything. ICE need to understand what is actually going on in this one. And it need to create the logs and other things and all. So what is ICE, and how do we configure that? And what are the things prerequisite for to go for this ICE? Prerequisites in the sense, and I'm not talking about the hardware or software requirements for like a machine things and all. The person has to know that what are the person, like even if he's working on around 8 years, 10 years in the security industry, he may be able to identify what is ICE in maybe in a day or 2, 3 or 4, like that. It depends on that, how things are done on that, and what all the menus are there, what all the options are there, and what is the concept behind this identity service engine. How does it getting integrated to the third party, not only the Cisco, third party applications like Microsoft, Oracle, and cloud related things. Nowadays, it's a cloud is also posing a biggest challenge for us, like, because cloud integrations are so heavy and people are working with that, like all free tier things and all. They're still working with the corporate environment. They're working on a free tier, so they will be activating many of the things without knowing without giving the knowledge to the other people or something. So that those are all causing a security threat to us. So ICE, the person who is reading about the ICE, the person who try to understand the concept of the ICE, just need to understand the security challenges, and what are the things as a concept he should be knowing before coming into learning the ICE, and what are the prerequisites required for him, that what should be the knowledge he should be having. That it's not only that encryption decryption knowledge, or like authentication and like SHA1 and other signatures and other things. Like normally we will go with the security policy creations and NAT policy creation. These are all, subnet and other things and all. These are all very basic requirement for a security engineer. This is not actually enough for a person who has to learn for an ISO or something. He should be knowing about the AD and LR, Active Directory and lightweight directory access protocol. He should know that. And wide variety of applications he should be knowing about that. Applications in the sense third-party application. Nowadays, the Kubernetes containers are coming. In the container, the people are running like hell lot of applications in that. So we just need to go and inside what is actually happening. We need to understand it. So the person need to know about the containers, clouds, and on-premises network, data center networks, and all the containers which are third-party containers which are there, third-party applications which are there, databases. You should be knowing that, and all the automation things, Python, Ansible, what not. Everything else is required for a person to understand this ISE, yeah, Identity Services Engine. When this has been started, ICE actually, I'm hearing about this for last 7 to 8 years something, but some people are working in ICE. Actually, we are all working in ICE only, but I can just say that I'm working on ICE, but not so elaborately or not so very much deeper or something like that, which no one will be having the knowledge about the ICE actually, because it is very hard to understand. So many integrations are happening. That's why it's becoming more complex for that to understand it so easily. So you can get to overall broader band, like overall, like you just stand up on that and you can just identify that what is actually happening. Like when you are, traveling on a plane or something like that, if you just keep down, you're just able to see some of the trees and some of the buildings or something. So to that level, we will be able to understand the rise. We will not be able to get into that street or something like, so to understand the rise, how does it working or something. Maybe like people who are coming from the strong background from the AD and integration, other things, they may be understanding the AD part. People who are working with it, the kind of network on a stock market kind of a network and on financial transaction, other things, who they are like they are introducing the ICE for their machine or something like that, they will understand those areas. Like the person who is coming from that kind of, the streamline, he will be understanding that area itself. So that's what I'm saying. It's not so easier to understand the ICE, and installing that ICE in your laptop or desktop, it is not at all possible. Just forget that. We require a corporate environment, because I will just take up that information in the later. Means like what all the hardware and software things are there. I will not be able to show you anything like now as a demo or something like that, because I didn't install that, because it requires a heavy hardware and heavy processing requirements of that, CPU requirements of that. And ICE can be installed as a virtual machine. I would like to tell you, it's very easy. When you are having a good VMware workstation or VMware, not workstation, VMware ESXi, if you have that, ESXi, VMware server, ESXi. In that one, we can install it with that required memory and hard disk and the CPU core, we can install it. Else, we can buy the equipment that Cisco is selling the ISC as an appliance, physical appliance they are selling it. 3.3 something, the series will come up. 3000 series something you can take it. So those are all ISC equipments. We can buy that and we can integrate it to our like environment. The hardware is also very heavy. I'll show you that hardware. How does it look like? It's look like a normal the switch only, Ethernet switch only, but it's doing a lot of other things as well. So to understand that, what are the ways that we can configure that, whether it is possible through the CLI or we can configure it through the GUI, like or any kind of NX API or something like that. APIs and other integration part also. Nowadays it is in the what do you say in the network automation things like. So many things we are going to discuss it today, but this is, please think about that. This is very harder to understand, and very much of a deeper knowledge is required to be on this platform to work on this, because when the problem is occurring, like it will take a hell lot of time to solve that, because you need to understand that machine itself, you need to understand the ICE itself, then you will start go and solve the problems which is faced by the customer. So integrations of the new customers, integrations of the new machines, and integration of the new devices which is getting added, also it's a bigger issue, posing a threat for us. It'll shake your confidence actually. So I've seen it personally. That's what I'm telling. So don't fear about that. Maybe like it may take around 6 to 8 months to understand the concepts as well. You just need to work on that, which has been already integrated devices. You can just go and monitor that how things are happening on this. If you have a time, that is more important, because you will be having a hell lot of other works to do on your security and network integrations as well. So it's an overall complete security solution. I can just say it is not just installing one firewall or just creating 10 to 15 policies on that firewall and activating the NAT policies and other things. And you are doing some URL filtering or a spam filtering or antivirus solutions or something. It is not that much easy. Don't think that. It is like a overall solutions for 140 countries for a customer, which is having some around 7 to 8,000 devices need to get integrated to that. And it has to talk with that AD as well. For the user's identity need to be done on that. So many things has been discussed on this. So let us go to this one by one slide. And the slides are around 30 or 35 slides only. It's very hardly. I just made the slides yesterday. I just sat and I just made the slides. But maybe like I must have, I may not be covering all of the things, but what all required for us to know to start with the ICE, it's enough for this information which I'm going to give it to you. Even if you have experience on the ICE, you are very much ready to talk to on this platform overall. We will discuss a lot of things. I can also get it from you like that. But I would like to give you like an introduction to all the peoples and to understand what is the ICE and how does it, we will go ahead with this. And what are the things we are going to discuss with that one. Like we will go for this. So let me take FI, Identity Services Engine. So we just need to understand, first of all, before going into the ICE and other operations in hardware and software, we need to understand the segmentation of it. Segmentation in the sense network segmentation is quite easier. Whoever is a L2 guy also, he will just say directly, okay, I will create the VLANs. Okay, I will correct I'll write an ACL. Like with that, I will be able to make that segmentation. Okay, that is a basic point of creating a network segmentation. What actually talking about that here is a network segmentation is going to be in the level of ICE can understand that. So let's go with that. Network segmentation is a well-established best practice, but one has traditionally been exceedingly difficult to implement. Organizations understand the need to move beyond the binary approach of recognizing everything inside the perimeter as good and everything outside as bad, and work towards zero trust or leak privilege approach. Zero trust, we will talk about zero trust in the coming up slides. Okay. However, intensely manual process of configuring VLANs, access control lists, and firewalls to accomplish this has forced many organizations to abandon segmentation projects before ever completing them like that. You just need to understand it is more than that of that. Okay. Next, network segmentation requires a cross-functional coordination between the network and the security operations teams to determine project roles, ownership, and budget. Undertaking a strategic preventive project can be difficult, as ESG research, that is a research foundation, found that 36% of the organizations see that one of their biggest threat detection and response challenges is not having enough time for strategy and process improvements due to addressing high priority and emergency issues. That's what I was telling you. Like, if we have a time, we will go and study something new. Already we are occupied with 99% of the work related things. How do we study the new thing? Data considered sensitive can include everything from employee information, customer PI, that's a personal informations, and financial informations, business strategy, and intellectual property to health and medical informations like that. Developing a granular understanding of all the entities on the network, all of the organization's important data, where it resides, and who requires access, making it daunting for an enterprise to even know where to begin. These are all the segmentations, like challenges, I can just say. So it's not just creating the VLANs or writing an access list for that to keep a network segmentations, and you can talk about your broadcast domain and collision domains. Those are all very basic things. I'm not talking about that one. Okay. The number of devices and the amount of traffic on network have caused the security complexity in a network. Okay. I indicated the network security has become more complex over the past 2 years. Why do we believe that this is the case? Percentage of respondents and n is equal to 164. 3 responses are accepted, something like that. So we have more devices deployed on the network. That is one of the cause. 37% people are saying that it's more device, more traffic on the network. 34 people. Network security operations is managing more network and security technologies because of the multi-vendor integrations. My organization is addressing more type of cyber attacks and vulnerability occurring. This is because of the loopholes which are in the network. Organization increase the use of public cloud computing services. Public cloud in the sense people are not properly trained to manage these clouds. Even the customer doesn't know, engineers doesn't know, and the who are planning the people, they also don't know, not having a proper knowledge about the cloud. Organizations, it's a budget, more regulatory requirements. Okay, this is a strictest compliance when it is coming up. There will be more time to regulate. More difficult to get visibility, the network security policies across the entire network. This is also one of the reason. Multi-vendor in the sense the commands will be completely different. How do you integrate that? There is a heavy challenges of that on that. And my organization has increased the number of new applications deployed. This is another reason. And the organization is increased the use of software-defined networking technology. This is still, people are having a lot of confusion over this. SDN given from cloud, or SDN is given from a private cloud, how the SDN is being configured, which SDN I should go for. There are 15 to 20 SDNs are there in the world. Okay, there is also another reason. My organization utilizes more network security devices from different vendors. See that, this was we were. These are all the problems which are faced by the corporates when it comes to the network is having the complexity of it. When something is difficult, boring, frustrating, ambiguous, it becomes much easier to set it aside for another day. Means let us do it later, not now. This is like a lazy approach. Unfortunately, network segmentation has historically fallen into more than one of these theories. In fact, maybe all of them except boring. And it has getting harder. Network technology has become more software defined and cloud, mobility, and IoT. IoT is like Internet of Things, like which are all the not the network devices. Means like not a computer devices also becoming coming in IoT. Fans, fridges, microwave ovens, like these are all coming as an IoT devices. Okay, yet the process tools in applying granular segmentation to isolate the portions of the network to enhance the security and improve quality of service have remained largely the same. However, this is finally changing. Through automation and analytics, improved device identification and streamlined policy creation will greatly simplify network segmentation, even in most dynamic environments, regardless of whether an organization has fully implemented, started, and abandoned. Never consider a network segmentation project all of benefit from these recent innovations. Reducing the attack surface and improving security posture are two goals of all businesses should have, and properly segmenting the network is good way to achieve the both. So we require a proper segmentation as first of all. So I am frustrated. Okay, improving security posture, reducing the attack surface, improving security posture. It's not so easier. Just two words only. It is not so actually easier. The next, benefits of network segmentation. Organizations gain several advantages when network segmentation is employed. First, the attack surface is reduced. A flat network does nothing to prevent attackers from quickly exploiting their access and moving literally once they have breached the perimeter. That is a flat network. Identifying and inventorying the most valuable or vulnerable corporate assets. These are all the challenges, benefits you can get it. Implementing a context-based policy to limit resource access to only those entities that have valid business need. So many other equipment they'll be putting on that like a dumping, which are all not at all required for a business to run or something. We just need to isolate and remove those things, which will 50% it will reduce the risk of the network security problems. Maintaining a consistent state of analysis and visibility to understand when new users, devices, or resources come online, regardless of locations. So this is a benefit of network segmentation. Necessity of network segmentation. Why do we require to segment it properly? What will be the necessity, bare minimum requirement? Mobility and remote branch office access. An employee attempting to access sensitive data from corporate device while off campus may be perfectly acceptable to an interface. However, if an employee tries to access the same data while off network from a personal device outside the business hours, the context may predicate blocking their action. Without granular detail about the attempted connection, employee, device, location, application, the allow deny decision must be made without all relevant information and risks limiting the productivity or weakening the skill. This is the biggest challenge. Manual process. A staff turns over and network changes occur every time, either organically or with new business units being added to that acquisition. It becomes easy to lose the visibility into the original purpose of the policy, making it more difficult to maintain the security state. Making things worse, manual processes making it difficult to keep pace with the dynamic network. So many devices are added. So many application policies need to be made. So many security policies need to get updated. And it has to be properly verified. And it should be streamlined according to the company policies and guidelines and other things. Strictest compliance it has to go for. So this is the biggest challenge. So one is the mobility and the remote office, branch office access people who are accessing from outside. Manual process is the one, second one. Third one, Internet of Things. Technology introduces additional complexities. IoT adoption is growing rapidly. Somebody speaking. Is Cisco policy management different than firewall policies, or is it something which can be integrated with the firewall, or can this be called as zero trust policy management? So that we will be discussing in the coming up slides. Don't worry. How does it differentiate from the normal firewall? Okay. Somebody has asked me. Okay, anyway, so research indication that 67% of the organization either have an IoT initiatives underway or planning to launch them in next 12 months. Somebody is pinging. Oh, hi. Okay, hello. Yes. Jayan is trying to ask something. Yeah, tell me, what's your question? Jayan? Do you have any
No, I
question?
just say that I just joined. No, just joined. I just
Okay, no problem, no problem. Please listen. Okay, thank you. Please mute your mic. Thank you. So, Internet of Things. In technology introduces additional complexities. IoT adoption is growing rapidly. Research indicating that 67% of the organizations either have IoT initiatives underway, it's going on, or they are planning to launch them in next 12 months, 1 year. In fact, the number of devices and the subsequent traffic on the network are the two most cited reasons for network security complexity. Definitely, cloud. Cloud adoption has complicated even the basic idea of securing the perimeter. In fact, research has found 39% of the organizations now follow the cloud first policy when deploying new applications, up from 39, so 10% increase just in a year ago. Yet many applications do remain on premises due to underlying the code, compliance, the data redundancy, or any number of reasons. Still, they are having that. In a hybrid application environment, like you are having something in on premises, something on cloud like that, that is a hybrid. The application or web tier may be in one cloud environment while the data tier resides in a different cloud. You see that. Multi-cloud strategy is also being done. So every cloud has got its own security compliance. We just need to go along with that. In this scenario, segmenting the application and associated users and devices requires a VLAN to span multiple locations and policies to be applied consistently across the different segmentation technologies and as many as 3 disparate environments. So that's what that we talk about the VXLAN. In a data center network, we'll talk about the VXLAN. VXLAN is nothing but like it is expanding your same VLAN to the another devices as well, another cloud itself, another data center itself, we can expand that. So these are all the challenges we talk about. So what are the challenges? Necessities of the network segmentation, mobility and remote and branch office access, then the manual process, Internet of Things, cloud. These are all things. Then we need to understand some of the concepts about that, operational technology and information technology. Everyone knows about the information technology because we are all working in IT. So we know that very well. But what is operational technology? Operational technology, it is called as an IT and OT. OT means hardware and software used to change, monitor, or control physical devices, processes, and events within a company or organization. Examples of OT include SCADA, that is supervisory control and data acquisition, which is used to gather and analyze data in real time and is often used to monitor the control plant equipment. It's like non-IT equipment, I can just say. Something like that. Something like that it goes on, but it's not the correct answer. Like the operational technology and information technology. Information technology, we know that. To anything related to the computer technology, including hardware and software, your email, for example, falls under the IT umbrella. The forms of technology is less common in industrial settings, but often constitutes a technological backbone of most organizations and companies. These devices and programs have little autonomy and are updated frequently. Access to IT programs and connected devices are typically less restricted than to OT devices, and many, if not all, employees at a given organization may be granted access. The main difference between the OT and IT is that OT devices control the physical world, IT devices manage the data. That is the difference between this. So why we are talking about this? Because the ICE, whatever the centralized security solutions or something, which is going to take care of this OT as well as IT also. So we need to understand what is OT and what is IT. So next. So we now come to that main course, like that main topic, Cisco Identity Services Engine. A critical component of zero trust strategy is securing the workplace that everyone and everything connects to. Cisco Identity Services Engine enables, somebody is pinging, can OT traffic be controlled by firewall policies? OT traffic, it is not actually the OT traffic or something like that. OT is going to be like a monitoring system or something like that. It is like, operational things and other things. That we are not talking about OT traffic or something, because we are all controlling everything from the IT only. So IT manages the OT, you can just say that, something like that. So Cisco Identity Services Engine enables a dynamic and automated approach to policy enforcement that simplifies the delivery of highly secure network access control, zero trust strategy, and enables a dynamic and automated approach to policy enforcement that simplifies the delivery of highly secure network access control. That is what ICE is doing. ICE empowers software-defined access and automates network segmentation within IT and OT environment. It controls both. Next. What are the benefits of it? Gain the visibility with the context and control, extend the zero trust to contain the threats, accelerate value of existing solutions, future-proof your network security. Like that. Gain visibility in the sense, know who, what, where, how endpoints or devices are connecting. Look deep into the devices to ensure the compliance of the limit risk with or without the use of agents. Next, extend the zero trust. Software-defined network segmentation shrinks the attack surface, limits the spread of ransomware, and enables a rapid threat containment. Accelerate the value of existing solutions. Integrate with the Cisco and third-party solutions to bring an active arm of protection into passive security solutions and increase your return on investments, ROI. Every manager will be talking about ROI. Okay. Future-proof network security. ICE provides a foundation for the policy control within the Cisco DNA Center and linchpin for the SDX. So these are all the things, and we just need to understand this also. ICE ensures security network access for trusted users and endpoints to the trusted apps. They need to meet the business objectives. ICE ecosystem allows for proper and accurate asset inventories that are leveraged to classify endpoints into profiled groups for automated policy implementation in order to enable granular control within segmented zones of trust to enable the rapid threat containment. So we are talking about that ICE benefits here. Next, zero trust. What is zero trust? Zero trust and least privilege recommends granting only minimum level of system or network access based on least level of privilege required to allow the users and endpoints to carry out their missions as required by the business objectives. This is what least is nothing but zero trust. Unrequited access extends the network attack surface, increases the risk of the organization, and allows the lateral movement of the threats. By controlling the access to only what is needed to reach the business customs outcomes, the organizational risk is reduced and compliance is assured. So how do we manage this? How do we plan it out? How do we go for a zero trust? How do we define that zero trust for your organizations? And what are the equipments are getting properly tuned for that? What level of the access has been given to the equipments? And what level of the access has been given to the database servers, like file servers, cloud access, and other devices as well as in the network or something. So these are all coming as a challenge for the people who are, designing and planning things and other things. How do we go for our network segmentations as well as zero trust implementation? Cisco ICE is the core of your zero trust approach for the workplace. It delivers complete visibility. It continually authenticates and authorizes them based on your business intent, your security policy, and grants an appropriate level of network access based on principle of least privilege to limit access based only on the needs of their roles or functions by identifying, classifying, assembling the necessary context on users and endpoints. This is what ICE is doing. What is ICE primary responsibility in a network? It will be providing the zero trust approach It will provide you the complete visibility, and it will continually authenticating and authorizes the people on business intent to do what they need to do by finding their roles and functions, by identifying, classifying, assembling the necessary context on users and endpoints. Okay, and this is about, we are talking about the endpoints, how ISE enforces the zero trust. Okay, Cisco ISE is in the central place. You see it's in the center. And it is doing that. Let me do this. How does it implementing the zero trust? Endpoint request access. Endpoint is identified and trust is established. Posture of endpoint verified to meet the compliance. Endpoint classified and profiled into the groups. Endpoints are tagged with some kind of things, SGTs, and a policy applied to the profiled groups based on least privilege. Trust continually verified. Continually monitors and verifies the endpoint trust level. Vulnerability assessments to the identify indicators of the compromise. Automatically update success policy. Endpoint authorized success based on least privilege. Access granted, network segmentation achieved, like that it will be doing it. So many things which has been done by how the ICE is, how ICE is enforcing the zero trust. We are seeing that this is ICE. It does that endpoint request access, endpoint classifications, trust continuously verification, and based on least privilege. These are all the way that our zero trust is being implemented by the ICE. Next, why ICE? The Cisco advantage. Why we need to go for ICE? There are many other solutions are available in the market. Why should I go for ICE? Other standalone solutions end up bolting on security to the network, often resulting in operational complexity and performance issues. Everyone will say their own wordings like that because it is like a more of a security equipment brochures like that. Sales people will be talking about this. Okay, ICE has gained market dominance with the focus on security that is built directly on the network. Our customers can provide security network access to the trusted users and endpoints through a flexible, simple solution. Okay, everyone does that same here. Okay, ICE the key differentiators. Okay, what are the plus points that I will be going for ICE, and I will be recommending that ICE for my own organization or my customer. Security built into the network. Cisco is the only vendor who leads both in enterprise networking and cybersecurity. And ICE builds advanced security directly into the network. It enables the secure network access, yet converts the workplace network into the zero trust security enforce. Okay, this is one of the key points. The next, integrations and partner ecosystem. Effective cyber programs require integrated technologies, and ICE has the most extensive partner ecosystem for automated solution integration with Cisco DNA Center as part of the XD Access software defined access solution. ICE also integrates with the premier security products like Cisco products, Firepower, Cloud Analytics, CyberVision, Advanced Malware Protection, AMP it's called as. Firepower we are still working on. Cloud Analytics, I didn't touch it still. CyberVision, Malware Protection we can activate in the Firepower itself. So these are all the key indicators, key differentiators which are differentiating the ICE product with other vendor equipment. Still continuing. And ICE is the only solution with the IETF standards based on integration platform, and only Cisco stands behind the technology integration through testing, validation, and support. With ICE, we extend the ecosystem into the cloud with the PX Cloud to support cloud native solutions. So ICE can integrate your cloud applications also, not only on-premises or data center something, or your VMware environment, something like that. Unrivaled scalability. ICE is the only solution that is proven up to 2 million concurrent endpoint sessions. This we need to compare it with the other solutions as well. 2 million concurrent endpoint solution supporting up to per second or per hour, or it's not given. Okay, that is a problematic thing. 2 million concurrent connection. Okay, concurrent at a time 2 million connections can be done. It's not about second or hours or something. So ICE can monitor that, but ICE machine should be having the proper kind of the environment, means like a hardware software, it has to be there, so that then only it will be supporting this much of a concurrent endpoint connections and other things. Network admin access control. ICE is the only NAC solution that includes the TACACS Plus for role-based administrative access control the network equipment, which we already implemented that in our normal networks also, right? So we are having the TACACS we are using the TACACS for quite a long time. And for NAC, network access control access, like that solution. TACAX plus Radius has also been there. So like everything need to get properly integrated. So ICE is doing that same thing for us. So these are all the key differentiators. With ICE, what the customers will be gaining? Cloud-enabled visibility. This is the first point. And simplified user experience. Second point. Added flexibility. Then increased visibility through the integrations. And the last, secure access from the cloud. Great. Let's see one by one. Cloud-enabled visibility. Open integrations extend interoperability into the cloud. The team can integrate with cloud as a software solution, means a SaaS security solutions to enhance the visibility of access policy enforcement decisions, while enabling the flexibility required to be cloud-driven and like automate rapid threat improvement, whatever it may be. Simplified user experience. User experience with the focus on simplicity guides users through workflows to enable the advanced use cases to rapidly accelerate value and protection while building the confidence required to enable and accelerate security access. Okay. Added flexibility. Agentless posture allows the visibility required to ensure the compliance. IT no longer has to choose between the speed of delivery and services and protection. Teams can now have the flexibility to decide between an agent or an agentless approach to balance the need of for the connection and obligation for the protection. Increased visibility through the integration with AI. AI is everywhere. Artificial intelligence, augmented visibility. Customers can leverage machine learning to properly identify, classify, and verify the device identification for effective policy management and network control. Secure access from the cloud. With ICE deployments being supported from the cloud, customers will enable their cloud-first approach and unify visibility and control access campus and branch deployments. From the customer's point of view, what are the benefits they will be getting it? Cloud-enabled, simplified experience, added flexibility, increased visibility through the multiple integrations, secure access from the cloud. So we have everything. And the next, ICE use cases. Where are it is being used? Guest and secure Wi-Fi. This enable guest network access at ease. Guest access means when you go and sit in the reception of the company or something like that, if you let connect to their own company network, in the sense we will be having a guest access for them. So it's very easy for that, give that access. Secure access next. Intent-based network access across wired and wireless and VPN. Next, see what's on your network and where they are located, asset visibility. Asset enforcement, enforcing access based on asset visibility. Asset is nothing but the hardware, software, where it is being located, that is an asset. Deeper visibility and control on desktop and mobile devices, that is a compliance. And let's come to the BYOD, bring your own device like that. Onboarding and management of wired and wireless BYOD means people are having some different platforms like mobile phones. So there are so many 200 to 300 brands there all over India, all over world. So people will be buying some without knowing any kind of, like, it's not only just a Chinese product or, some other Vivo or some other mobile phones. So people are purchasing iPhone or something. They're having so many other mobiles as well. So all the mobiles need to be, integrated. That is nothing but a BYOD. BYOD means bring your own device. It's not only for a mobile phone or tab or something. It's for the firewalls as well as the other devices as well to get integrated to the onboarding. Onboarding is nothing but like Dattatreya is asking. Onboarding means integrating that kind of a device to the ICE solution. Means ICE can monitor those devices as well. Integrating the device to the ICE network. That is nothing but onboarding. And the next is a threat containment. Share real-time threat intelligence to the automate threat response. Okay, threat response. Okay, software-defined segmentation. Actually, software-defined segmentation without VLANs or IP-based policies, like that segmentation you can do. Next, exchange context between the technology partners for better flexibility integrations. Device admin, role-based network access, RBOA. We will just say role-based access and another. Something like we do that network device administration over the TACAX. So this ICE is doing this much of an activity. guest and secure Wi-Fi, secure access, access visibility, asset enforcement, compliance, BYOD, bring your own device, threat containment, segmentation, integrations, and device admin. This is one-stop solution. That is ICE use cases. So we will see something in elaborate of the use cases in the next coming slides. Cisco ICE addresses the challenges with a broad set of mission-critical secure network access and control use cases to support zero trust in the workplace. Dynamic endpoint visibility. That's what I was discussing about that. See and know everything connecting. The first step of zero trust is gaining the ability to see, know everything that is connecting to the network. Means ICE should be identifying all these things. ICE is identifying, classifying, tracking all endpoints connected to the network to allow the automation of policy provisioning. IT teams have the flexibility they need to balance business objectives and with security, and can choose between the agent or agentless approach to gain the visibility required to look deep into the device and ensure the endpoint compliance. Any changes to the overall posture or any endpoint automatically and dynamically changes the policy to the control access, ensure compliance and reduce risk and contain threats. So in some other customer places and like that, we will just sell them that one of these devices only will be supported. Either if they're using a mobile phone, cell phone, tab or something like that. We'll just say that some of the, like when it is coming under the security compliance of it, some of the companies which are giving the proper patches for that. So we give that information only. Some customers may not be, like accepting that. So no, we are very much open to our own public people. Our employees, they can go for any kind of, the tabs or something they can purchase. Still, we just need to integrate that. Like in that area, that will be posing a challenge for you to integrate those devices to the network. And we just need to go with the proper security compliance as well. Like there is a challenge between that. Some company people will be understanding it. Okay, we will ask them to, like use some other mobile to when they are connecting to the, corporate network or something. Either they can use that for a private use, they can use some different brands of things, handheld devices. But when it is coming to that, the corporate network connectivity, either we'll ask them to company provided laptop, they'll connect to that, or company specified devices to use that so that they will be integrated without causing any security attack to our network. So that is one other point. Dynamic endpoint, visibility driven segmentation. Confidently build security to a network. ICE extends a zero trust to contain threats and trusted zone to access and build network segmentation policy enforcement. Without configuration complexity seen in legacy approaches, organization can shrink the attack surface, limit the spread of ransomware, enable the rapid threat containment, all while continually ensuring this level of protection will not disrupt the business outcomes. So these are all something like use cases you can see. Next, automated threat containment, endpoint compliance, security access, this many. Don't just block the threats, remove them. ICE integrates security products with the third-party ecosystem partners through PX GND and PX Cloud to share contextual information with on-premises and cloud-native solutions. This open integration ecosystem brings an active arm of enforcement into passive security solutions to automate the threat containment, remove the threats, and reduce the mean time to repair, all while increasing the value of existing solutions and overall security posture of the organization. Endpoint compliance, maintain the compliance and reduce the organizational risk. ICE continuously refines the device posture, complies with your security policy so that risky, unpatched, and outdated device cannot threaten the network. Limit organizational risk and maintain compliance with granular controls based on organizational risk tolerances for any endpoint, and profile the group of endpoints without deploying agents or risking performance for protection. This is a compliance which will be coming. Compliance are very much strict. Okay, every company has got its own compliance. They will be not only they're just going for an ISO implementations or something. There are so many other security compliances have come up in that. Accordingly, we just need to upgrade our company policy, security company policy like that. Just need to go for that. So they are talking about the endpoint compliance on this. And then the security access, secure access. Accelerate value by simplifying provisioning the policies and devices. ICE enables the self-registration, automates the device configuration, manages certificates. That's a very important point. mobile policy compliance. With granular visibility and controls of IT, admins can confidently and quickly provision new resources to allow connection to the network without sacrificing the protections. So it is like more dynamically, the things are getting automated, registered, device configurations, managing certificates as well. Certificates management is a bigger problem when it is coming into the secure servers like HTTPS, which is running. The security, the certificate need to be properly updated, because we are actually, our people or some of the customer is managing around 10 to 15 thousands of like the servers they are managing. Every server has got its own certificate for a certain applications as well. So every application has got, when it is getting expired or something other which we don't know, that we will be getting the logs from the server, then we will be understanding that. So this is a very big challenge for that. Now what I see, ICE is doing that, manages the certificates as well. How many servers are need to be properly, like upgraded with the certificate, because when the security certificate has been, digital certificate has been given for it, maybe like for a 1 year or 2 year, according to the project which has been running on that. When the project is extended beyond that level also, then we may have to upgrade that up, like upgrade the security as well, means like update the security certificates as well. So these are all, common day-to-day problem, but there is also they saying that it is getting, solved out like that. Okay. Okay, anyway, you'll believe that this is working. Okay, nice. Then next, hardware, software requirements for ICE. So maybe like this will be looking like an ICE. Okay, you can just see that the box is like this. And software, we will just see that this is like you will be getting the, like we'll be getting the front initial text which is appearing when you boot that VM or ICE box in your console. Like, okay, next, Cisco ICE software. There are many versions are available in ICE. Okay, there are many versions which are 2 point something is available. Now 3 point something has come up. You see that 3.0 ICE OA file, 300 GB disk for evaluation, small and medium, recommended for evaluation, PNs and fixed grade like that. So what is the size of this? It's a 15 GB. We can download this. If you are having the CCO, means the Cisco Connection Online logins, if you have that, we can go and download this evaluation copy and we can try it out. And this is ICE 3.0 OA file, 800 GB disk for small or medium enforcement. Something like, there are many kind of, according to the enterprise requirements, we can go for this. ICE OA 3 file, this is a 1200 GB disk for medium or large recommended. This is for medium and large. This is for small or medium. This is for evaluation for small and medium like that. And OA file 2400 GB disk for a large implementation, large integrations will go for it. And ICE software version for full installation, complete installation. And ICE file can be used for installing ISC and ISC 3.5 something like that appliances, and as like that. And it can be installed in your VMware ESXi, KVM, Hyper-V. We can use in everywhere. See that size of that file. It is a 15 GB again. And this is also 15, 16, something like that. This is around 10 GB, something like that. So we can download this all from DCCO, Cisco Connection Online, providing your enterprise username and password. So we will be having some Cisco contract, SmartNet contract, or some kind of a support contracts will be there. With that, we can go for an evaluation. Evaluation in the sense, you just need to download and we just need to integrate that. You just need to install it in a dedicated server over there. And we need to train our people to understand that what is ICE, how to integrate with all the other devices as well. And how do you talk to that, a Cisco, Microsoft AD server or the Linux LDAP server or something. So these are all the software. This is the latest which I taken it, 3.0 something. People are still running the 2.x version. 2.x version is still running, ICE. Okay. And let's go to the next one. This is an appliance. So appliance in the sense, it is a physical appliance I'm talking. Processor. There is a three kind of a solutions or three kind of appliances are there. One is 3605, 3615 and 3655. And this one is 3695, some model is there. Secure Network Server, SNS. SNS it is taken like SNS. Processor, it's a one Intel Xeon, 2 to 10 gigahertz of this, and something like that it goes on. Intel, yeah, somebody is speaking. So ISC is basically a zero trust policy management engine. You can say that, yes, that's nice. It's a good, you understood from my presentations, it's nice, good. Okay, Cisco Network Server 3655, that is the one Intel Xeon 2 to 10. and something like that, same thing. And core per processor, 8 core, this has got 12 core, this has got 12 core. Different models which we are talking according to your small, medium, and enterprise solutions, which will be going for large solutions. Like how much memory is required? 32 GB is required for this model, and 96 GB required for this, and you require the 256 GB required. So this is a very highest, very high, it's medium, this is small. Take. And hard disk 1 to 2.5 TB like that goes GB something like that. This is a 4, this is 8, 6 or 8 or something like that goes on. And hardware RAID is not supported here. Here it is 11, level 10 is supported. Here also level 10 is supported. RAID is nothing but redundant array of independent disks. Means like we can have chaining the hard disk to have the failures of the primary hard disk, secondary hard disk, like that. We can go for that. All the so server admin people will be knowing about this. Okay. And network interfaces, how many interfaces are there? 2 into 10 base T and 4 into 10 base T, 1 GB. Okay. 10 gig interface and 1 gig interface is there. 2 10 gig you will get it, and 4 1 gig you will get it. Like this. Here 2 10 gig and 4 1 gig, same model. Here also the same, 2 and 4. Like interfaces are same, but there is a capacity is very high. Power supplies 7 watt, and this is around 7. So like 77 watts, something like that it goes. 770. Sorry, I'm having a very small number. So it is a 770 watt power supply is required. 1 number, 2 number, 2 number. So these are all like when you look for the applications, when you try to buy some physical appliance for your company, you will go for like a small, medium, and big, very big. It's like our t-shirts, like medium, small, and extra large, something like that you just go for. So accordingly, you will just choose your boxes, and I don't know what is the prices and all. You just need to call Cisco to find out what is the price. Maybe like it must be in lakhs or in maybe crores also possible. Okay, next we will go and find out that virtual machine. When you would like to install the ISC, what all the VMware virtual machine requirements are required? So what all the things are supported VMware servers like that? VMware version 8 default for ESXi 5.x, and VMware version 11 for ESXi 6.7, 6.x, something like VMware version 13 for ESXi 7.x. If you are using in ESXi 5 or not, I don't know, it's not there. 6 is so many people are using, 7 is many people are started using that. So we need to use that version as well, like VMware version 11, 13, accordingly we just need to use. And moreover, in Linux platform also it has been supported. You can download the ICE and you can integrate it with the Linux kernel virtual machines. And also Microsoft Hyper-V is also been supported. So all platforms you can have it. Virtual platforms, it's everything is available. All 3 platforms it is supported. And OVA template means like open virtualization appliance, it's something it goes on. Evaluation. If you go for an evaluation, number of CPU required is a 4. CPU reservation is not there. Memory, how much we require? 16 GB required. Memory reservation is not, no reservation as such for evaluation copy. Small, we require a 16 core and 16,000 reservations. 32 GB memory is required. Memory reservation 32 GB again. Medium, if you go for the medium OA file, 24 CPU core required and 24,000, that will be the megahertz. And the memory we require at 96 GB. Reservation can be 96 GB. Means require reservation is actually means like that we require 96. Even you can give it more like that. So large is like 24 processors, 24,000 megahertz, 256 GB. Forget about it. 256 GB is very much required for that. So like we will be using accordingly to our requirement. You can go for this evaluation. So 4 CPUs we can have, and 16 GPU definitely we can give 16 GB. Even you can try it in your laptop. I don't recommend, but still you can just say for laptop. It is a heavy duty enterprise like laptop. If you're having like HP laptops are there. Some laptops support nowadays 32 GB also. People are having 32 GB laptop nowadays. So, but number of core CPUs need to be given. That is more important in a VMware environment. And it has been supported. They're saying that VMware ESXi is required. I don't think that we can run it on workstations. Cannot be possible. So try it out. But virtual machines also available, so we can go for it. So this is about the hardware platform, what has been sold by Cisco for to integrate the ISC to our network, or we can go for the virtual machines platform like that. We can, for both of them, we will be able to download the software from here. We can make it at OVE, means like OVA, means like Open Virtualization Appliance. This file can be directly opened in ESXi or in maybe in a VMware workstation. It's possible. We'll be trying out all the new software like this only. Nowadays, all the OVA format is very easier to integrate. You can even use it in the in an Oracle VirtualBox also. We can use this OVA file. So very important point. We just need to discuss that certifications. ICE. What is the certification available in ICE? Implementing and configuring Cisco Identity Services Engine, SISE, version 3.0. So that's why I took the version of 3.0. 3.0 means you just need to work in the latest version of the software of ICE. Then only you will be able to clear this exam. What is this exam? What they are going to do that? Implementing and configuring Cisco ICE 3.0 course shows you how to deploy and use the ICE version 2.4. Okay, and identity and access control policy platform that simplifies the delivery of consistent, highly secure access control via wired, wireless, and VPN connections. The hands-on course provide you the knowledge and skills to implement and use Cisco ICE, including policy enforcement, profiling services, web authentication, guest service accesses, BYOD, endpoint compliance services, TACACS and device administration. Everything they covered. Complete finish off. Through the expert instruction and hands-on practice, you will learn how to use ICE to gain visibility into what is happening in your network, streamline the security policy management, contribute to operational efficiency. Implementing and configuring Cisco ICE, which helps you to CCNP security and the Cisco certified specialist security identity management implementation. This is about the extra certifications you can, like go for it. It can be one of the CCNP security certificate like that. I just took it only that ICE certification. It's a part of that your CCNP security level. Okay, the next. Prerequisites. What are the things we require for that to go before this learning the ICE and learning and going for an exam or something? You should be having the proper knowledge, familiarity with the Cisco IOS software command line interface, familiarity with the Cisco AnyConnect or secure mobility client. This is used for VPN connections. Familiarity with the Windows operating system that everyone has it. Familiarity with the 802.1x. This is nothing but the security implementations on the network. This is the standard which we will use it. Recommended Cisco offering that may help you to meet these prerequisites. How do you get these prerequisites? Go for a CCNP security training. An introduction to 802.1x operations in security professional. Once you have these 2 points, 1 and 2, then you are ready for these prerequisites. Your prerequisites are fulfilled, then you will go for the ICE certification. Okay, you understand? Go for it. Okay. Okay, what is the course outline? Okay, what are the things they are going to access it? Like, because there is just a brief description they given it, but here is something in elaborate. Introducing ICE architecture and deployment. ICE as a network access policy engine, use cases, functions, deployment models, context visibility. This is the first chapter. Second chapter, policy enforcement. Using 802.1x wired and wireless access, MAC authentication bypass for wired and wireless access, introducing identity management, security service, certificate services, policy, third party, TrustSec configuration, easy connect. So this is the second chapter, still coming. Third one, web authentication and guest services, web access and Cisco ICE, guest access components, guest access settings, sponsor and guest portals, ICE profiler. We need to understand what is a profiler. Profiling is going to create that for what all the equipments can be grouped into one profile like that. So similar firewalls can be grouped, similar users can be grouped, similar department wise can be used, segmentation part of it coming. And BYOD is a very hardest point. Bring your own device, how the process has been done. BYOD flow, my devices portal, and scenarios, certificates on the BYOD devices scenarios. Next, endpoint compliance services. Endpoint compliant, This is coming up something with all the kind of, compliances, like a theoretical part. We just need to understand. Introducing the endpoint compliance services, client posture services, and provisioning of ISC. Work with the network devices, review of TACACS, ICE TACACS device administration, configure TACACS device administration guidelines and best practices. Migrating from ACS to ICE. ACS was there earlier. Guys may be remembering that. ACS was to integrate all its security devices to Cisco. It's a one-stop solution like an ACS. So that has been, migrating from that to here. There is nothing new. ACS is nothing new. Name is IC. Okay, I don't say anything about ACS. You go and find out what is the ACS. Okay, I've been working on ACS for quite a long time. Earlier, maybe like 10 years back. So that is like integrating all the network devices, and multi-vendor integration was problematic in this one. Like now, ICE has got all the problems are solved on this. So we have seen the course outlines, and yeah, one second. We have seen the course outlines here. What is the course we are going to do that? ICE. And what are the things we will be learning from the ICE certifications? What are the prerequisites for its own? And what is the course outlines? ICE architecture, policy enforcement, authentication guest services, profiler, and BYOD devices integrations, endpoint compliance services, and network devices. Everything is done that. Okay. Once you go for ICE certification, you'll be able to learn all these things. Better, I would like to say that please try to have this virtual machine environment in your own place. I'm trying for that, but in our company it has been installed. That is a different issue. I cannot go and like do some R&D with that production boxes. It's not possible. ESXi, if you have that, you can integrate it with the ESXi. You can download the evaluation copy of it. 16 GB is very much easy that you can give it for a 16 GB, because nowadays the people are having around 24, 33 GB laptops and all. 4 CPU core, though, you can give it, not an issue at all. And you can go with the screens, at least the command line, which there is a heavy book is there for to learn this all. And I guess many videos also produced by the bigger companies like Cloud Guru, or many people are there. They may be done the CBD nuggets, so somebody must have done that. So better you learn this all, because FTD integrations with that, ICE is being talked about nowadays very heavily, because their new platform is that ICE. So we need to understand this. So without trying on this one, you will not be able to clear your certification, or even you cannot clear your interviews also. So this is what we've seen today. It's an ICE. ICE is nothing but that zero trust, as one other person has told us. Like it's about that multi-vendor integrations, BYOD, cloud, IoT devices, and talking about the end client, like compliance services, network access devices, and other things. Profiling, we'll be creating it, and we'll be understanding the hardware and software part of the ICE itself. So this is about today. So I have given whatever I have given on this today. So ICE is basically a zero trust policy management engine. Yes, it is a zero trust policy engine. Definitely, it is. Yes. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. I have given from my point of view like that. I just introduced that what is ICE, and how do we configure that? What are things which we can do on that? And see, the person is sitting on top of the network. That's why the picture is saying that. You can ask me any questions if you have any queries on this Cisco ISC. If I know the answer, if I'm quite clear about your questions or something, I will be able to answer that. Not only this ICE, I'm just trying to integrate it in my own network to provide the training for that. It may take some time, but I provide some other trainings as well, normal, like Cisco ASA and Palo Alto firewall, Checkpoint firewall, Fortinet firewall, Juniper SRX firewalls, and the security certifications of this. And I provide the cloud certification as well. All three, major three: AWS, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. And Cisco, though, I'll be always keep on doing that. Cisco, CCNA, CCNP, and other things. MPLS and other things we'll be working on. So any other training requirements, you can come with that Cisco security solutions or cloud solutions or network solutions. I'm able to provide that. And you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please do that. And as I'm requesting with you people like that, please introduce my channel to the people so that they will be getting to know what that new technology is. Every week I'll be giving some new things always. Okay, some person is asking again one more question. How much ISC does cost to implement in an organization approximately? That we need to call the Cisco salespeople. Cisco salespeople. I am actually a solution provider only. I don't, like working on financial costing or something like that. I don't do the project management stuff. Still, I'm not doing that. So I will be working on like more of a technical, like implementations and the troubleshootings and the planning and designing something. That is what I do that. Cost wise, I may not be able to tell you something about that. You can check it out in the internet. Otherwise, you can call any reseller who is a Cisco reseller or your salesperson. You can call. You can identify what is a. You can get to know about that. What is the charges for that ICE? Better you go for that evaluation copy. But first of all, we just need to understand the technical things. Like download that software, CCO connection online, and start working on that ICE to understand the screens, command line interfaces, profiling things, endpoint integrations, security compliance, and IoT devices integrations, cloud integrations. You read them, you learn those things. That is more important. So, any other questions from anyone else regarding this Cisco ICE? I see people are there. Yeah, many are there. You can ask them. And if you don't have any much questions, we can go ahead and close this secure solutions. I shall give you a call after this session. Okay, thank you. I will talk to you, no problems. And moreover, I would like to send you this recording as well as the PPT which I prepared on ICE to you, to all the peoples. Please give me your email address on the chat. Okay. Please give me your email addresses on the chat so that I will be sending it to you, to all the peoples. Please send me your email address. Okay, Jayant has given, Patnaik has given. Other people also can give it, please. I'll send you this immediately. Maybe like in half an hour, you'll be receiving all these things. Don't worry. I will not disturb you by sending another mails, promotional or sales or something. It's completely technical things will be only sent. No worries. Okay, Jayesh Shah has given that. Everyone can give it. I see many people are there in the chat. So thanks, thanks Ramnath for this session. Yeah, thank you very much, Lav. Thank you very much. Definitely, I will be talking about this technical things. I'm very much introduced. I'm very much interested to talk to you people always. So every week we'll be having something new to discuss that. No worries. And so, okay, I guess everyone has given your mail addresses. So if you have any questions, you can mail it to me, and the mail address is there, techcraft@gmail.com. And you can even call me or you can WhatsApp it to me about any other technologies or examinations or any requisites, prerequisites, or any kind of questions if you have in your mind. You can ask me anytime. I'm ready to answer that. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel so that you can able to watch these previous videos as well. Many things which I talk about, the Palo Alto, security checkpoint, and Fortinet, like many other security platforms also is talk about. Please talk to them. And let us close this meeting. So thank you for all the people who joined the meeting. Let us meet next week, the same time, next Sunday. Thanks for all who joined. Thank you. Bye.